Hi everyone, welcome back to this series. Today we're going to go more in depth with errors because I didn't mention everything. So let's say, for example, we want to know the list of errors that come in some standard library things. So if I say, for example, we want to open a file, what are the possible errors that could happen? Well, there's actually a way to do that, and we simply do catch directly and then switch with an empty switch. And what this will do is it will simply show all the errors possible, which is a big list. File too big, no space left, device busy, access denied. And say, for example, you want to cover these, then you'd do something like std. I'm not sure what the name of the error is here, but std.fs error, whatever, and then the name. And you'd cover, say, if you want to do something in every possible situation. The simplest thing to do is just to do catch error and then print the error. That would be the simplest thing to do. But just in case you want to cover every possible situation, you can do this. It's also a good way to know what errors could happen, depending on which function. You can also just use catch directly. So file, open file, and catch. The problem here is, here we're setting a value to a file, and if you use catch, then you have to actually set the value to something. So I can't set a file to something, so I'm going to use unreachable. If I didn't use unreachable, we'll get an error. Now this, say error union is ignored, open file. Okay, why is it saying that? Because I didn't save it. So here it says incompatible types, fs.file with void. So you're trying to put nothing into a file. So we should return unreachable, so there's actually a value there, and this will just panic and crash the program. Defen lastly, for this section, we have errdefer, which basically will do something if there's an error. So defer will run no matter what, whenever the scope ends. So if there's an error, if there's a regular value, doesn't matter. Defer will run no matter what. Errdefer will only run if there's an error. So if you want to do a specific thing if there's an error, then you use errdefer. Let's look at some other possible errors. So here we have std.testing.expected. So I expect. So std.testing.expect, and we run this. Just in a switch, it would say error.test unexpected results. So that's all it returns. It's a very simple function. But we can look at some others. So here I'm gonna allocate on the heap using general purpose allocator. And I just want to see, well, it's actually, yeah, it gives me out of memory as the result. But say if I want to see what that is, we would do this, comment this out, and it's, yeah, so error.out of memory. The one problem you'll have with this is that you need to know the actual name of the specific error in order to use a switch. So in like, for example, with the file opening, it was like std.fs.fileOpenError, some name like that. This one is called std.mem.allocator.error out of memory. And it actually depends on the other one. So below I actually have std.fmt pass int error. So it depends on what you're actually doing. It depends on what function you're using in the standard library, the error name. This one just says out of memory, and then print out of memory. In theory, you could just print the error directly, but say if you want to handle each case and be thorough, you can do this. Lastly, we have parse int, which is converting text into an integer, and this could return, because I did this before, I'll just do this and show you. It can return a integer overflow as an error and an invalid character as an error. Of course, we're not using a local constant. Yeah, sometimes Zig is very annoying when you just want to show things and test stuff. Oh, you didn't use this in. I don't care. So yeah, switch must handle all possibilities. It's an error overflow, error dot invalid character. So if you want to handle these, we've got to do both of that. Take away that. So say, for example, here, if there's an overflow, I'm going to set it to 0. If it's an invalid character, set it to unreachable and crash the program. So you can handle errors in different ways like this. Okay, lastly, we have optionals. We've covered optionals before. Optionals are basically variables that could be null or undefined as nothing, just not set at all. And you need to use an if to use it. Here we have a function getIndex that just returns an optional usize, and we just return null. It's just an example. You know, obviously you wouldn't normally make a function like that. But say we get the index and we want to see if it's null or not. If it's not null, then print it. If it is null else, then say it's null, and we're actually going to set the value to 0. So if it's null, we'll set the value to 0. And there is actually a keyword for all of this. If you just want to say if this else set the value, and that keyword is or else. So the or else keyword basically will, if it's null, if this is null, set it to 0. That's all this does. So get the index. If the index is null, set it to 0, and then we can print it. And this will actually just print, and this will work valid index 0, A, because in the array, A is the first index. Alright, so I forgot something. So there is actually a way to unwrap an optional without an if statement. And that's to use this syntax here, dot question mark. So if you use dot question mark here, then this will unwrap the optional and convert it to a value. The only problem with doing this is you will get a compile error if it is actually null. If it's null, you'll get a compile error. So it'll say something like error unable to unwrap null. But you can do something like if null, else, if this. But if you just want to directly use an optional without an if statement, use dot question mark. But that was just a bit more information about errors and optionals. Let me know if you have any questions. See you guys next time.